the names that we have there, Speakership, House of Rep, zone to the southeast, and in particular to Honorable, now I mustn't get myself confused here, it's been to the southeast, Honorable Ben Carlo. So you know the deal. Now, there are those who are not happy, and we were able to get hold of an insider, our friend, Kazim Afebua, former Commissioner for Information in Edo State. He joins us by Zoom. So a fine morning to you, Kazim.
Good morning, Yori. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Thank you very much for making the time for us this morning. So it seems straightforward enough when the National Working Committee, when the announcement was made. But then since that time, the conversation that has followed, people particularly taking exception to what has been referred to as micro-zoning. It's one thing to zone it to the southeast, as in the case of the, to the southeast. But why would you now go and mention, in particular, someone's name? Why don't you let the National Assembly sort it all out? It's okay to zone to the south-south, but why, in particular, a name? Could you provide clarification on that? Because the people that we have spoken to from the National Assembly have said that doesn't seem very democratic to them.
Well, thank you very much, Yori. Don't forget that any political engagement, in Nigeria would naturally come with its own brickbat in such a way that people who are not favored, who are not chosen, who are not selected in that process would naturally raise eyebrows. But in the entire context of those who are in the Senate, 109 of them,
yes,
and the House of Reps, 360 of them, only 4 people will emerge in this position we are talking: Senate Speaker, Senate President, Deputy Speaker, Deputy Senate President. Every other principal positions will share according to the prevailing circumstances within those 2 houses. In this context, I had said from the one that the South-South deserves the position of the Senate President. We have presently an outgoing Deputy Senate President, and it's our desire as South-Southerners to have that position, even though some persons are arguing that I should go to the Southeast. And my position has been that, no, before you begin to ask for anything in terms of power distribution, you must also tell us what you put on the table in the process of cooking the meal. Whether you like it or not, Yori, the South-South is very strategic in the present context, and before now, it's also the treasure base of the country. And before now, aside from 1979-83, when Joseph Wires was the Senate President, we have never had the opportunity. So on the basis of that, and on the basis of the votes we gave to Asiwaju that made up the 25% in the entire 6 states of the South-South, we are positively more favored than a Southeast person aspiring where Tinubu did not score even 10% in any of the states. So I think on the basis of that understanding, the party now started looking inwards. Zoning it to the individual, like you said, is just like a fait accompli, because Senator Godswill Akpabio is the only ranking senator in the APC from the South-South zone. So when you say South-South zone, it's automatically Senator Godswill Akpabio's slot. The one that I quarrel with is the Speaker and Deputy Senate President coming from the Northwest zone. I think the North Central deserves one of those positions for balancing and equitability. Either you give Speaker to the North Central or you give them the Deputy Senate President. One has to go to the North Central zone. I wouldn't know the rationale behind the party's leadership choice of ceding those 2 positions to the Northwest, but I think that is actually the bane of the problem, not necessarily the one that was zoned to the South-South geopolitical zone. And taking into consideration the religious consideration, religious factors, and all of that, I think we need other religions to populate Senate President, Speaker, or even Deputy Senate President, as the case may be. We need to be conscious of this. We need to be courteous. We need to also be deliberate in taking decisions that will help deepen democracy in such a way that it will lead to less acrimony. Because the president-elect can only achieve maximally if he's able to work under an environment of stability, an environment of tranquility, an environment that promotes constructive engagement and collective bargaining in ensuring that his Renew Hope agenda and the policy framework that he will be coming up with will be fully ingrained into the entire fulcrum of the country. So for me, I'm comfortable with the South-South choice of Senate presidency, and I'm comfortable with the choice of Senator Godswill Akpabio as a ranking senator. I'm also comfortable with ceding the position of Deputy Speaker to Southeast. I'm comfortable with ceding one of the two positions to Northwest, and one should go to North Central, because the North Central played a very formidable role also in entrenching and ensuring that Bola Ahmed Tinubu got the statutory 25% votes required for him to claim victory.
Okay, thanks, Kazim. Now, when some members of your party, we had them on our program earlier, clearly they were not in agreement because they also had designs themselves. And as you have said, you expect this kind of brickbats in politics. But the other point that was made was that we are in a democracy here. We pride ourselves in APC as being Democrats. Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a leading one, and we were not consulted with at all. Now, would you say that if anybody is speaking like that, he's overreaching himself a bit, or is it that the communication that followed, if indeed there was consultation, was not all-pervading enough before such allegations could be made that, no, they're not happy, and actually they have the numbers, that is to say, those of them that are not happy, they have the numbers to influence things one way or the other?
Yori, don't forget that the Senate is made up of about 4 parties: NNPP, Labour Party, APC, and PDP. I think YPP also has one senator.
Yeah, that's senator. Right.
Okay, the point is, you as a Senate president, aspirant, or a candidate for Senate presidency, it's your lot for you to go around, your colleague senators across party lines and see how much influence you can wield, to get them to support you. Democracy is all about constructive engagement. It's all about collective bargaining. It's about consultation. It's about lobbying, because you can't expect everybody to fall in line on any decision taken, whether by the party, the president-elect, or even the Senate itself. That is why in time past you see all manners of impeachment here and there. But we thank God that there's some level of stability in the National Assembly leadership in the recent past, and that is because the party was able to put its foot down to take a decision. Don't forget that Ahmed Lawan, the current Senate president, is a product of party's position. Adams Oshomole, as chairman of the party, as it were, had to stamp his feet down, even went to the gallery to see how the party's position will not be followed. And that was what gave rise to Ahmed Lawan as a Senate president, because he was the choice of the party. Party supremacy must prevail in any democratic experimentation, any democratic orientation. And when I say party supremacy, it does not mean that you will not consult. You will have to consult, you have to reach out to your members, to your executive officers, and collectively take a decision that, in your estimation, will be for the overwhelming good of the country. If in the process certain persons feel aggrieved, it is the responsibility of the party to reach out to them, talk to them, try to make them see reasons. I am of the opinion that I love to robustly engage scenarios, processes, so that the final outcome will have the buy-in of everyone. In this present situation, I have told you personally that I would prefer the not.
Okay, just as you were speaking there, something happened. It dropped, and mid-sentence, we sort of lost sound. But if you are just joining us, our guest is Mr. Kazim Afegwa. He's a former commissioner for information in Edo State. And we're talking about APC zoning of the National Assembly top positions and, you know, the fallout from there. I mean, that's what it is right now, but some people within the ruling APC, no doubt, maybe they had other ideas, and because of that, they have, you know, spoken out, saying that they are not too happy with the way the thing has been, this particular project has been not just zoned, but micro-zoned. And Mr. Kazim Afegba was just explaining there that, well, party supremacy is very important, even though that is not to say party supremacy is about take it or leave it, that there are consultations. I wonder if Kazim is back online. Okay, you're back, but I still can't hear you yet. I wonder if...
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you, Kazim. So please, it dropped off where you were explaining that party supremacy didn't necessarily mean take it or leave it, but that was when we lost sound.
No, party supremacy has to do with also consulting with your members and officers and making them see reasons why certain decisions are being taken. You see, when people say the party is imposing its whims, the party is not imposing its whims. The party has primacy in terms of what decisions you are going to take in the House, whether House of Reps or in the Senate, because you ran under the flag of the party, under the logo of the party. In fact, your face did not appear on the ballot. So the party has a responsibility from time to time to continue to reach out to persons to push agenda that will suit the overwhelming interest of the party, because that is what is presented to Nigerians at the elections. Whether you are contesting for chairman of local government, House of Reps, House of Assembly, Senate, you need the party. That's what the Constitution says. Okay. So that party must rise up to the occasion at all times to halt, you know, maybe prevailing crisis or to halt processes that may lead to acrimony and what have you. So in the context of this zoning, I don't think anybody will quarrel with the fact that the South deserves to have the Senate presidency. I don't think anybody will also quarrel with the fact that the Southeast should be given deputy speaker. But the other thing I know they may raise concern about is having two positions in Northwest.
Yes.
Deputy Senate President and Speaker.
Yes.
Leaving out the North Central. And I have told you right in this program that I would prefer one of those positions to be ceded to the North Central zone for proper balancing and equitable sharing of the power algorithms.
All right then. Mr. Yakub in Dokwemo, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, Yori, good morning, sir. And then good morning to Mr. Kazim Afegba. Good morning, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I totally agree with Mr. Kazim Afegba. Some of us, we are also...
No, it's not your earpiece, Kazim. I can't hear as well. It's not you. It's not anything on your side.
I was wondering.
No. So we just had Yakub on the line, and then the audio sort of cut out. Are you still there with us, Yakub? Oh dear. Well, what the little that Yakub was able to say before it dropped out was that he found himself in tandem with your position, but he couldn't develop it beyond that. But if he said he was, in fact, I think his words, paraphrasing him, if not quoting him directly, was that I agree totally with Mr. Kazim Afegbua. And you've just finished stating your position, especially where it is personal, is where you said that, as far as you're concerned, the speakership of the House of Reps and the Deputy Senate presidency, both of them being zoned to the,
Northwest.
to the northwest. You felt
I think one
can
should be given to the North Central.
Yeah, this is where I know this. I might be trying. I'm not trying to put you in a tight spot, but exactly as you have said it, it's a glaring circumstance, shall we say? It's a glaring circumstance to have those two and then not have the North Central in there as well. But probably the wise men who sat together and came up with this decision will probably have their reasonings as to why two principal offices should go to one zone, and that is maybe from what you have said.
I think Yori, let me help you. I think the point is the leadership of the party must have to meet again, and they will have to meet in consultation with the president-elect. And other shades of opinion must be collated to come up with a more agreeable zoning with respect to those two positions. The Speaker and the Deputy Senate President, they shouldn't look at the individuals they are trying to present. They should rather look at the geopolitical interests. For the North Central Zone, they can give them a Deputy Senate President and allow the number 4 position to remain in the Northwest, aware that the Northwest will just be finishing 8 years of presidency. And so, to that extent, if they get number 4 position with the Speaker, on account of the population and their contribution to the success of Tinubu, that would be okay by me. Then you give the Deputy Senate President to the North Central Zone. That's also a good representation, because political power has its own elemental undercurrents. It is one thing for you to win power, which is acquisition of power. And the process of distributing power also has its own elements. And if you don't do that in a proper way, you may end up, running into avoidable crises, which will present themselves like distractions to the president-elect or president, as the case may be when he comes on stream. And so, to that extent, it is worthy on the part of those who are the power players, the representatives of the political parties, those who are aspirants and all of that, to look at all these variables and situate the interests of the country and the stability of the system in their heart of heart in taking those decisions.
Okay.
But for Senate presidency, I'm very comfortable with the South-South choice, and I'm also very comfortable with the choice of Senator Akpabio as the ranking senator from the South-South zone under the APC. I'm also conscious of the fact that the South-South put up a strong fight to ensure that the APC got a lot of representation, knowing full well that the 6 states of the South-South is the hotbed of the opposition PDP, where the APC was able to make a lot of inroads and score over 45% of the vote cast in the entire 6 states. In fact, the APC came top in Rivers State, and the other 5 states they came second. So that, to me, is cherry news, and it has to be compensated, and it has to be a deliberate step to ensure that the APC is able to get its own stranglehold in subsequent elections.
Okay. And if you look at the religious spread, you have 2 that are of Christian and 2 that are Muslims. But in the meantime, Reverend Dominic in Alimosho has called in. Good morning to you, Reverend, and sorry to have kept you waiting.
Good morning, Chief Yori. Yori, I want to disagree with my friend again, my brother, my friend Kasim. And I want Kasim to listen to me carefully. We have won this election. It's one thing to win a battle. It's one thing to win the minds of people, either it's people on the side of opposition or the side, or on their own side. Let me say this. Whenever you say South, did well for APC, What do you want to think about South Sudan? South Sudan has 6 states with one state for APC. South East has 5 states with 2 states for APC. If you look at the people who defend APC more in the Southeast or South South, it's APC. I mean, it's Southeast. But I'm not trying to dwell on that. I want to take Kasim to remove this, this thing is said every time about who supports, who do not support. The election has come and gone. The best thing we must be trying to do now is to unite Nigeria. In history, I'll tell you before, this election was the best. But it created a lot of challenges of tribalism, of religion, and all sorts. So the man who wins the election now and the party must think so hard how to unite Nigeria so we can have success. If you govern this nation again by what happened in the last 8 years, where there's 95.5%, we're widening the gap of all we're seeing in the southeast, in the north, what we call Boko Haram or who want to pull away. What must be in our mind is unite Nigeria. By the way, let me say this. APC is reaping what they sow. You remember, me, Jacob, and the judge were talking about this. When it comes to presidential election, the judge as well they have to fight whatever they want to fight. This present APC chairman brought the current senior president as consensus. Why did you use zoning in presidential election and allow the South alone to contest for it? They not contest for it. All those over people, APC have over 20 presidential candidates. Why is it now you are talking about zoning? And let me warn this. If case is not taken, we are going to have challenge in the House of Reps. Because APC have no majority in the House of Reps. If you zone to microzone in the House of Reps and the minority did otherwise, what will happen? We must come back home and put our house in order. But the issue of who gives best, who voted best should go away. Let us how to govern Nigeria, Kasim. Enough of these challenges. I've said it before, in Lagos, which about the system of APC, I could not vote because I was an Igbo. Do you know the pain? We must heal that wound. Because we're Nigerians. We should look at South Sudan and talk to in Southeast. If you love war, look at what is happening in South Sudan. When war comes to a nation, no president, no senate, no man is safe. We must cover this line of tribalism, this line of who bring what to the table, and try to fight to unite Nigeria. And I think I should the head of...
Okay, Reverend Dominic, thank you very much for calling in. Kasim, how would you respond?
I hope Reverend Dominic is listening to me.
Yes.
And he should listen attentively with an open mind. You see, the point is, I don't want the Southeast aspiration to be based on a sense of entitlement. That, for me, is a no-no. Because you can't say Nigeria is sitting on a tripod arrangement, and because of that, they should naturally get in number 3 position because you want unity of the country and challenge. Who does not want unity? Which geopolitical zone is not challenged? We are all facing different challenges. And enough of all these threats here and there. Nobody has monopoly of causing crisis or upsetting the apple cart, as the case may be. I'm telling you the fundamental importance of the South-South geopolitical zone. And you are telling me about 2 states in the Southeast and all of that. What did APC score at the presidential election in the Southeast? Don't forget that Senator Ojus Okalu even called for a Northeast presidential candidate before the primaries. That since PDP was already having an Atiku Abubakar from the Northeast, the APC should also present a Northeast because he had in mind Ahmed Lawan, his friend, and the Senate president who was also contesting. But for the intervention of the 14 northern governors who insisted that power must shift to the south to be able to promote a sense of unity and oneness of the country, we would have been singing a different story. And so to that extent, if at the elections, the same persons who wanted the Northeast candidate and was calling 49,000 to get the Senate president and Senate position, and his presidential candidate of the same party in an election that was conducted in the same hour, the same time, and all of that, is scoring 6,000 votes in the state, 8,000 votes in the state, and all in other states, all like that. Is that what should be cheering us to me? That kind of conspiracy should not be rewarded and must not be rewarded. I don't mean when I speak because people don't like to hear the truth.
Kasim, some are saying that perhaps we could look away from that because Reverend Dominic's position is that look, when you look at the importance of the Southeast, they have more APC states than the South, and that in the interest of unity, look away from all those divisive issues of who contributed what number of votes.
They didn't prove that in the presidential election. The entire votes of Asiwaju in the 5 states of Southeast was 197,000. If you split that within 5 states, he didn't score 10% in any of the states of the Southeast. Automatically, 5 states from 36 states is left with 31 to contend with, is scoring 25% that is required for you to become a president. And so, if you have 2 states as a governorship and all that, that is the dimension of the conspiracy that took place in the presidential election. I am not saying they might be entitled to contest and all of that, but I'm saying that morality should define their intervention. Knowing full well that the Southeast has occupied that position 5 different times in 8 years. They've had 5 Senate presidents in 8 years. They've had deputy Senate president for 12 years. 20 years in the life of an administration of a democracy of 24 years. For me, what the Southeast require now is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And they need to sit back, look inward, begin to plan in support of that in subsequent elections. Because Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu started planning for his presidency from 25 years ago. Like he would tell people, power is not served a la carte. You have to work towards it and all of that. Okay. So the Southeast must put its ass together, build a cohesion, and see themselves as nationalists and not ethnic jingoists.
All right.
Reverend Dominic is talking about ethnicity and religious or whatever. You should go and ask Peter Obi. Peter Obi was the architect of religious and ethnic campaigns in these last elections. We have copious examples all over the social media and everywhere other places. So the point I'm making is that in building this country, this 10th assembly, you need to build politics of inclusion. But in doing that, you must also display justice where it is equitable. You must also show people that, yes, you appreciate their contribution to your success at the elections. If Tinubu were to have lost this election, would they be talking about Senate presidency in Southeast? Would they be talking about it?
All right, then. Kazim, I'm going to take a break now. Please stay with us. We'll be right back, continue this conversation and taking calls as usual. We'll be right back.
Say aye. Those against left, the ayes are we.
What do you know about the legislature, its role in governance, and as one of the 3 arms of government? Lagos Parliament is here to bring it to you as it is. Here to bring you every detail you need to know about the legislature in Africa's most populous city. On Lagos Parliament, you get a chance to meet the lawmaker of the week. Events are critically reviewed. You can also observe plenary in Yoruba language. I am Abimbola Agbebi. Join me every Friday at 9 p.m. as I take you through the activities of the legislature.
Join me, Precious Amayo, as I bring you news from the epicenter, where it happens and when it happens, staying on top of every breaking story, minute by minute, right at the hour when the city gets busy and just before it sleeps. We're live from every angle with objective insight and analysis. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back. Our guest this morning is Kazim Afebua. Mr. Afebua is the former Commissioner for Information in Edo State, and we are looking at the ruling party's zoning of principal offices in the National Assembly as it has done already. The Senate President at the suggestion, of the party to go to Godswill Akpabio, that is for the vote. They will vote Godswill Akpabio, who is from the South, and Deputy Senate President Northwest, Honorable Abbas Tajuddin. When you get to the House of Representatives, the names are Senator Barau Jibrin and Honorable Ben Kalu. from the Northwest and
No,
Southeast.
Barau Jibrin is a senator. It's Tajudi that is a House of Rep member.
Yeah, thank you very much. My bad. Yeah, I mixed it up. So here we are, and just before we went, you had responded, to Reverend Dominic's contribution.
Yeah.
We have on the line now is Mr. Lukman in Accra, Ghana. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kazim.
Good morning.
Mr. Kazim is a very honest person, and it was the same thing I stated 2 days ago when one honorable came on here. And you could remember the last time I called, I picked Fabio as the Senate president, even before the party pronounced it. I suggested that, which is perfect. The only problem here is the party should explain to the North Central member-elect reason why 2 people will be elected from Northwest as 2 top 4 members of the National Assembly. You see, Dominic was saying something of entitlement. Those things are not good. They have given you the deputy speaker, which is good enough. There's no time any regions are not being sidelined. Under Saraki, South were being sidelined. If you check the top 4, South were not there. Since 1999 up to date, South has not been president. North Central too can be sidelined on this bill if we have a genuine explanation for that. Because North Central has gotten Senate presidents for 12 years, which is good enough for them. But if we don't have enough genuine reason for them to have two top people from the National Assembly from the Northwest, I think the party should consider North Central. Because North Central, we want only in 3 regions: Southwest, North Central, and Northwest. We lost to Atiku in Northeast, we lost to Obi in Southeast, and we lost to Obi in the South. So we should be able to tell them, we should respect them, and what all the honorables from the North Central are saying, that they are not being carried away, and that is a big insult to the honorable member-elect, and for some of us that came from North Central, because we worked so hard for the party, and the party should not be treated as North Central as they are nobody. You can negotiate with them and talk to them the reason why you have done this, and this is the reason why you are doing this. And if that is reason enough, I think we can solve all this problem and we can have a very smooth governance under Ashwat Bola Tinubu. We should not cause problem for ourselves. We have a lot to do, we have a lot of work to do, and we need the unity of the National Assembly. Please, the leaders should do the needful and let us have a progressive nation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Lukman in Accra, Ghana, and also for holding on a bit. Kazim, as you were saying, you would like to see a situation where the party revisits, its initial position, and with breaking up that whole Northwest, locked down.
Yeah, just cede one position to North Central, and everything becomes perfect. Just see that one of the positions to North Central in a manner of understanding, in a manner of collective bargaining, in a manner of negotiation, so that every geopolitical zone will have a sense of belonging in this enterprise. Because the president-elect will not need distractions, so he will need a very robust atmosphere for him to translate what he has in his renewed manifesto agenda for the good many Nigerians. So for me, I'm not going to be detained by this by Reverend Dominic's position that we are to do 95%, 5%. People who are coming to the table, you must come with something on the table when you are preparing to contend with the elections. If you play your mind back, Yori, you will discover that aside from Governor Umahi and Governor Uzodima of Imo and Umahi of Ebonyi, how many Southeasterners did you see in the front line of campaign of Tinubu, including Ojuz Okalu, Osita Zunazo, and quite a number of them? How many of them did you see campaigning. They were all trying to be clever by half, supporting their own brother, Labour Party candidate in the night, and during the day they pretend that they are for Ashwaji. But we didn't see, and the thing manifested during the elections. The outcome of the elections from the Southeast was abysmal. And you cannot reward failure, for God's sake.
Okay.
Anybody who, even Umahi, Governor Umahi would have been a better person for me to say it's even aspiring, because he came out so openly and so vociferous against those who were even fighting him. And at the end of the day, you see him stepping down his aspiration in a manner of humility. And he said the Ashwaji Bola Ahmed has spoken to him that should step down for the Senator Akpabio. That, to me, is a more nationalistic senator-elect who is governor of Ebonyi. Such a person should be cultivated in subsequent opportunities to be patronized, because that is the kind of thinking I want to see. All those who were pretending, trying to be clever by half, during the day they would pretend that with you, in the night they will go and do another thing, and the thing manifested that they now want to reap where they didn't sow.
All right.
It won't happen. We will continue to insist that the Senate president will come from South. We are very fundamentally positioned in this country. It's the treasure base of the country, and Senator Akpabio will represent our collective and individual aspirations from that geopolitical zone.
Okay. Mazi Okorafor, good morning to you, Enaro Chuku, and thank you for holding on. Go right ahead now.
Good morning, sir. Yori, good morning, I guess. The politics in Nigeria today, let us keep aside this issue of delivery. What we should be talking about in Nigerian politics is the politics of equity and fairness. You see, since after the Civil War, we saw what is going on within the Eastern, West, North, and South. Let's come back. During that time of Obasanjo, what happened? Some people will now come and say that 5 senators have come out from the Southeast. Because those 5 senators refuse to dance to the tune of third time. That is because, you see, the problem Nigeria is having today, we don't go to history. If we go to history, we know that everything has to move equally. Not minding whether you support or not. That's what they call sportsmanship in any place you play, whether you're a footballer or a politician. But the question, winner takes all is not what Nigeria should be preaching. Nigeria should be equity, what is equity. So that tomorrow nobody say you have been marginalized, you are not being supported, you are not. Look, we have to move forward, because if we sit down in Nigeria talking about sentiment, Nigeria cannot move forward. Let us face the reality, because the country belongs to everybody. Don't think and hurry. Let us, whether this one support this one, that is what we should be talking about, equity. Look, we saw what is happening in Sudan. What happened in Sudan? Sudan, they have 2 factions because it's all of them are the same country. What happened? Because one unit said that the North, State, West have been hijacked since Al-Bashir. You see what is happening in Nigeria? We are African content. The politics is
yeah, but Reverend Dominic, I beg your pardon, Mazi Okorafor, why are we quick to bring in areas, war-torn areas by way of examples here? Why are you bringing in Sudan here, which we know the calamity that they are in because 2 warring generals can't agree? Is it a fair example?
If you go to football team don't mind whether you are supporting this competition. You share up the player that is doing well. But you see how they are. That's what they call football. That's what they call sportsmanship. That is what Nigeria should be preaching in the politics. Whether central or not, personally to me as an individual, I want us to move on that bring in somebody that is ready to deliver. Not imagine when Gagaba was the governor in Lagos State. He was not minding whether you're equal or you don't. He was moving around. But I don't know why coming this around. Now people are coming to bring sentiment into this agenda. Let us keep that issue. These people do not support that. That one should not quit the accident, because people are just trying to put across.
But these calculations are made. Excuse me, Mazi. These calculations are necessarily made when political decisions have to be taken. Unless you are saying, as has been said by a caller onto this program, forget all of those details about numbers.
What I said, let us go to equity and fairness. Equity, I'm interested in equity and fairness.
How do you define your equity and fairness?
Good morning.
How do you define your equity and fairness?
Okay, well, good morning.
How do you define it?
Equity and fairness, no matter whether this man support or not. Good morning.
Well, okay. Kazim asked you a question, but maybe you didn't hear, because there was a time when I appeared to be speaking over you because I don't know if the lines were like that. But, well, then again, you've heard it, Kazim. There are all sorts of opinions. We take all opinions on this program.
Yes, I know. It's very nice. That's why it's a democracy. The minority will have their way, the majority will have their say, and will have their say, the majority will have their way. You see, the point is this. It's only when you say equity and fairness, it has become a recurring diction in Nigerian political discourse. But when you tell people to define the nitty-gritty of that, you see them blabbing. If you play politics and you don't put in sentiments, then you have not started playing politics. Even in world advanced democracies, trace the antecedent. You see that sentiments is what they put forward when they try to woo votes. They will go to certain sections of the country where they have a stronghold and they will play the sentiments that will suit the whims of those people so that they can get votes. So you cannot remove sentiments from politics. That was it was the same sentiment that Peter Obi used maximally to get the kind of votes that he got, even though we know that the Labour Party was nowhere before he joined them. So my position remains the same, Yori. Nigeria is not sitting on a tripod arrangement. Nigeria is sitting on so many tripods. Let me put it that way. It is not three. So many. We have fought over 450 ethnic multiplicities, sub-nations, sub-nationals, and all kinds of interests, both clannish and nationalistic, are competing for attentions on a daily basis, on a regular basis. And in a democracy, whether you like it or not, you must consciously engage all the centripetal and the centrifugal forces. You must create that aggregate interest that will unite and help you to stabilize the polity for you to deliver on governance. When he's citing examples of what is happening in Sudan and all of that, I pray Nigeria does not, get itself into that, because we have opportunity and a platform for us to begin to discuss and dialogue. We are more civilized than those people. We should dialogue. In the days of civil war, people who erroneously led, the Southeast into civil war, now live to see the consequences of their action. And so I don't want to be detained by those kind of gory history that does not advance the cause of our nation, the history that is being told from one perspective and not looking at the other side. So I will not be driven by those sentiments. My sentiments is simply that in the present context of Nigerian democracy, on the basis of the contribution of the South-South geopolitical region to the success story of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I am making a case for a South-South Senate presidency, and I'm thanking the party for choosing Senator Godswill Akpabio as a ranking senator to occupy that position. It is now a responsibility of myself, Senator Godswill Akpabio, some other stakeholders, and everybody who loves South-South to go around and reach out to other senators elect to see reasons why his choice has become auspicious at this time. In the process of Asiwaju contesting for this election, he went through a lot of hassles. One of them was people sponsoring other aspirants to counter him. We saw all manners of people contesting with him. He didn't bother. He was resilient. He persevered, and he remained focused. I keep telling you that the position of the 14 northern governors in taking the decision that power should go to the south in the APC was what led to the emergence of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In the PDP, they refused to allow power to come to the south. They feeded another person, wanted an 8 years and plus 8 years northern presidency of Nigeria. And I told them, I came out openly to condemn that, but the main actors of the Southeast were the people who were promoting that because they wanted Ahmed Lawan to be the candidate. And now Ahmed Lawan is taking up arms against Akpabio because Akpabio did not support his aspiration. And he's trying to play God in the life of a man. And I want to tell him through this medium that no man is God. And he cannot, by any stretch of imagination, override the collective interest of the South geopolitical region.
Okay, Kazim, I beg your pardon. I got to interrupt here because
we are very.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kazim, but I do have Moses in Makurdi waiting to join the program. Good morning, Moses.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Please, the only contribution I have is concerning what Okorafor said. It is clear that Okorafor and his people did not contribute to making Ashwaju win this election. And therefore, only those who contributed should be rewarded, according to, just as Mr. Afekwa stated. I'm in support of that statement.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you.
Now, Kazim, the other thing that is worrying to me, but perhaps you said it at the top of the program, that politicians, they gather together, there will always be brickbats. I'm a bit concerned when people are quick to refer to Sudan. Everybody knows the situation Sudan is in. And so I wonder, I mean, clearly it must be seen as a hyperbolic comparison. How can you compare Sudan and the situation that they're in as a possibility or a potentiality here? I think the way sometimes we throw around words, I don't know. Give me your impression on that.
Yori, let me tell you from my own point of view. Nigerian democracy has come to stay. We may not get it perfect in terms of credible elections, but we are making steady progress. We are making concerted effort to ensure that this democracy endures and this democracy sustains, so that you and me can have a platform to voice out our sentiments, voice out our perspectives on issues. When people are easy to refer to Sudan and all of that, I take very strong exception to those kind of reference, and even those kind of comparison, because it is a diseconomy of scale for anybody from the southeast to be making reference to this, and you are making Nigerians to have a particular mindset as if you are violent people. Some of my best friends are from the southeast of Nigeria, and I enjoy their relationship that has spanned over donkey years. Nigeria is a marriage of inconveniences, and we have been treading on since 1914 till date. So now that we have a democracy that has endured for 24 years, for the first time in our history, we must take conscious and deliberate effort to ensure that we put pay to all kinds of marginalization, inclusion, and violence. But in doing that, justice deserves that. For God's sake, a deputy speaker for the Southeast is a very good position. Now, some people are now saying, why must he be Southeast deputy speaker? They are saying, why must he be Ben Kalu? Why not Miriam Onoha, the lady? That's another dimension.
Yeah.
But for somebody to tell me that based on their contribution to the success of the APC at the last elections, that deputy speaker is not okay for them, it's like taking the handshake beyond the elbow.
All right, then. Let me bring in, I think our last caller is going to be Sunny. So, I beg your pardon, Kazim. Sorry about that.
It's Sunny from Benin.
Yeah.
Yes, Sunny in Benin is on the line.
Yeah,
Good morning, Sunny.
Thank you, Mr. Yori. I've listened to all the guests. To be honest with you, I will also appeal that everybody should be carried along. And I agree with Kazim Afek, but one of the reasons why I like him is because he said the way he thinks it should be. And you are talking about sentiment. How do you now succeed? The reason why Nigeria has been going the way it has been going is because we have not been sentimental, true sentimental about the situation. If you look at somebody like Tinubu, there was a whole lot of forces that played out for him not to get the position of this presidency that he got. Now he has become president-elect. Everybody is now rallying around him. Now the other one want to say he wants to become a Senate president. They don't want to become this. And all this why this man has been doing all that roundabout, people didn't take him serious. I think that what they need to do, look for how to work together. Because you can never compare somebody like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu with this administration we are seeing right now. So how do we succeed? Bring the people out of the challenge that we are going through right now. How do we succeed that at the end of the day, what he has said he was going to do, he'll be able to do it because the time of campaign has passed. We cannot begin to divide the house when he has not even been sworn in. So I think what they can do right now, look for a way to work with him, get results, so that at the end of the day, the complaints, the pains, and in the mind of Nigerians, you can see how Tinubu can right the wrong. Until that one is done, Please, they shouldn't cause problem by talking about Senate president and all that. There's a lot on the shoulder of president-elect. So they need to work with it to see how it will work so that at the end of the day, both those that are calling from Arokiki, calling from Oshimola and all that, we will see a better Nigeria, and at the end of the day, we can be happy that he was able to survey the situation and make Nigeria better and better for us all. I think that should be my stand for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sunny, calling in from Benin in Edo State. In fact, Kazim, I think that's a fine place to leave it because we've run out of time in any case, apart from your final words.
Let me give you my final word.
Yeah.
I want to thank the APC leadership for deeming it fit to cede the Senate presidency to the South, and for also choosing an uncommon senator, uncommon governor, uncommon minister, Senator Godswill Akpabio, as the candidate of their choice. It is now our responsibility to market him amongst other senators elect, and as we speak now, he has majority of the senators supporting him, and I know that he will not disappoint. He will represent not just the zone, but the entire institution of parliament in making good laws for the good governance of the country. He has been a transformer, a performer, as a governor, as a minister, he has done so well. So those who are trying to play God in the life of men should please be told that at times their whims and caprices may not necessarily be what the people want. You may want to visit your powers as a Senate president. I'm referring to Ahmed Lawa now, but you should know that you cannot play the life of a God in the life of Senator Godswill Akpabio.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. Kasim Afebwa, former Commissioner for Information in Edo State and President-elect group insider. I don't know how else to frame it, but...
no, I'm a keen supporter.
Okay.
Bola
okay. So thank you very much, Kazim, for making time for us this morning.
Pleasure.
All right, then. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.
Can you do this?
No wahala.
How about this?
A superhero?
And then
One and only JJ. One and only JJ.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Labor Lens, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Labor Lens, I ensure we engage effectively the organized labor, organized private sector, and government to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Ijason, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
wherever you see destruction, it's because God is absent. There is no destruction in God. So who started killing from Genesis? Satan. Jesus exposed him. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But I am come that you may have life and have it how much? More abundant. I prophesy as your amen is coming like thunder. Whatever is yours, receive it now.
It's been 3 decades of statehood in Yobe State, coupled with steady growth and development in all areas. A decade-long Boko Haram insurgency has also hampered the steady rise to greatness in the pride of the Sahel. But it's time for continuity, consolidation, and innovation in Yobe State. Watch as Governor Mai Malabuni builds on progress made by past administrations and breaks new grounds with fresh projects and programs on Impact Yobe. Impact Yobe on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. and Thursdays 12:30 p.m. on TVC News. Join us.